Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. You are now locked into the Locked On Patriots podcast. It is Monday, March 7th. Not only is it Mock Draft Monday, not only is it Muse the Draft Monday, but of course, as you can see, folks, it is hashtag Locked On Murph Monday right here on your daily home for news, notes, and analysis, infused with the occasional opinion on your six-time Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots. And once again, folks, thank you very much for making Locked On Patriots your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Patriots, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Big shout out to our new subscribers on YouTube. Keep those coming. These videos will be happening daily as we head toward the 2022 season. And of course, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Folks, as you can see, it is hashtag Locked On Murph Monday here on the pod, and I could not be happier to be sharing the microphone and the video screen with this gentleman today. He is our great green wisdom and counsel provider, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, legendary columnist from E2Gsports.com, my good friend, Thomas Murphy. Tom, thank you so much for joining me today, Murph. Always honored, always humbled by your presence. Don Murph.
Always a blast to be here, man. Always a blast to be here. Get busted out my Make Good Choices t-shirt because we got a couple of mocks to Muse today, and the people made some good choices.
We truly do, and a couple of very good choices, one of which a bit ambitious if our listeners are really going to be honest, but at the same time, you got to love the haul, and you got to love the spirit, and you got to love the enthusiasm and the effort that's put into it. So we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to get into that pretty soon. Murph, before we kicked off our Musing the Draft conversation, I did want to pick your brain a little bit on some of the news of the weekend. And over the weekend, I did publish a couple of solo pods regarding the New England Patriots and rumors circulating right now about their interest in various wide receivers out there. Mari Cooper apparently might be on the open market. Patriots apparently inquiring about Robbie Anderson. There are also rumors that circulated on Sunday night that Nelson Aguilar may be on the trading block. So a lot of movement on the wideouts and a lot more movement on the wide receivers. We're going to discuss the wide receivers in a little bit more detail this week. But Murph, you and I know that franchise-type players don't just appear out of nowhere. And most Patriots fans and a lot of the media, I'll include myself in that regard as well, I've pumped his tires quite often here on the pod and also through my writing for Sports Illustrated. J.C. Jackson, the news coming out last week, Mike Giardi kind of throwing those hints around on Wednesday, Friday, Ian Rappaport kind of confirming what we all thought was going to be the case, in that the Patriots are going to be reticent, if not have already made their decision not to tag J.C. Jackson before tomorrow's deadline. I've given my thoughts on J.C. I'm not going to bog this down in a discussion with that because we are here to muse the draft, not mock it, folks. Murph and I never make fun of the draft. But when you look at what is going on right now with J.C. Jackson, his future, potential future in a Patriots uniform, what were your thoughts on the report? And how do you see this all coming out? How does this end for the Patriots and for J.C.?
This isn't the first time that Bill's gone this route. Often he's let veteran players, guys whose deals are running out or have run out, go out there, test the market, and come back and show Bill what they've gotten. So by all means, this doesn't mean an end all of everything, but in the back of my head, I do not think that Bill is going to pay JC top of the market dollars. He's always been that guy that I will go out and find who I need to find, fill it in, and then work with what I have afterwards. I'm not going to tie up this much money on somebody that is, I hate to say it, I really do. But the Mr. INT thing is more like Mr. Right Place, Right Time in a lot of the cases. It really is. There's a lot of overthrows, a lot of tip balls. It's fantastic to have those good hands, but I wouldn't be willing to pay top of the market value on him. Now, on the flip side of this, JC's not really doing himself a lot of favors going out there and telling people that he wants Jalen Ramsey money. That really cuts his market value, by at least 2/3. You've got to think of people that have this much money underneath the cap are willing to spend it, and that's really not the teams that are on the cusp of anything, as we should say. So he either JC or his agents really fumbled right there.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. A lot of times when agents or players will come out and essentially tip your hand the way
Yep.
that they have, saying that I'm looking for Jalen Ramsey money, like you said. I mean, that essentially paints not only opposing teams, but also, it really puts them at a disadvantage, and it puts his client at a disadvantage as well, because now all of a sudden you're taking teams that might have thought they had a shot to be able to make a competitive offer, saying, we're not going to even touch what Jalen Ramsey's money or his contract is going to be. You have to wonder about the posturing and how this is all going to work out for J.C. Jackson. Look, bottom line, a phenomenal season, second team All-Pro, Pro Bowl nod, second in the league in interceptions, first in the league in passes defensed. I mean, you look at what this kid was able to do this year, and under some difficult circumstances as well, with the uncertainty regarding Stephon Gilmore, JC coming in thinking he's going to be the number 2 guy. He steps into that slot and does a pretty good job. So he's definitely earned the right to be able to seek what he feels he's worth out there. But at the same time, you have to wonder, and you also have to look at it from the Patriots' perspective, and saying that if they think that they're only tagging him at $17.28 million for 1 year, and then he's going to walk away because that $17.28 million is not enough of an annual value of what he's going to be looking for long term, then it's a no-brainer that the Patriots are going to have to walk away here.
It really is. It really is. And take a look at those numbers again, Michael. The pass defenses, quarterbacks are not scared to throw at J.C. Jackson. They're really not. He breaks these passes up and he does a good job and he's fantastic, but it's not like the guys are afraid to drop back and throw at him. He doesn't take an entire half of the field away. He's always worked better with help over the top. And that's, nothing against him. He's a fantastic ball player. It's just not somebody that I'm willing to throw $20 million a year at and a guarantee of 68 or 70 million bucks.
Yeah, and apparently the New England Patriots right now share that curiosity. They share your sentiments. So ultimately, folks, we'll know at this time tomorrow or maybe a little bit later on March 8th when the deadline has passed whether or not the Patriots were serious about not tagging JC. At this point, I would probably tend to believe Mike and the guys that are reporting this. Those guys are dialed in as much as anyone, especially when you talk about guys like Giardi and Rappaport. They know what they're talking about. So this ought to be an interesting couple of days. And then, of course, if JC isn't tagged, that opens up the floodgates and a ton of rumors to circulate from now until March 16th, starting with the legal tampering period on March 14th. And don't forget, folks, here at the end of the week on Locked On Patriots, our man, the Pats Cap, will join us for a free agency preview. So stay tuned for that.
There you go. And just one last piece. If JC gets tagged, you can probably bet dollars to donuts that it's because somebody's reached out to Bill and wants to do a sign and trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye on a sign and trade too. That is not beyond the realm of possibility. I've heard some people say, well, with JC saying this, that basically eliminates the sign and trade. This is a game. It's posturing, and both sides are going to posture, and they're going to jockey for position right up until the moment where they just can't do it anymore. So, as we like to say here on Locked On Patriots, folks, keep a sharp eye. And also keep a sharp ear and eye out for Musing the Draft Monday, because we've talked about J.C. Jackson. Now it's time to get down to the business that me and Murph love to do here on a Monday on Locked On Patriots. Musing the Draft coming up, and the draft that we're going to pick first, folks, is going to be one that's going to have you excited, and it's going to have Murph and I talking a lot about these possibilities. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about the good folks over at Built Bar, because if you're like me, I know the calendar says March 7th, but you're still trying to keep some of those New Year's resolutions. Well, I hate to tell you this, folks, I haven't kept nearly one, but there is one that I'm doing a better job with, and that is eating healthy when it comes to finding sweet treats. You look at a candy bar, just take a look at the wrapper the next time that you're ready to indulge in one, and you'll see the calories, 240 on average, and most of the good ones, folks, are a lot more than that. 30 grams of sugar, dozens of net carbs. Reach for a Built Bar the next time you're ready to do so, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. On average, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And folks, they are just as delicious, if not better, than your average candy bar. Flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, my personal favorite, peanut butter brownie.
Peanut butter brownie.
They always are delicious. They always have new flavors coming out all the time. If they think a flavor is going to be good, they're like Murph and I. They muse that flavor, they massage it, and they bring it to life, and they always nail it each and every time. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, and then they figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. So today, visit Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, and get 15% off your next order. Remember, folks, use the promo code LOCKed15 for 15% off at Built.com. Patriots fans, we are back here on this Locked On Murph Monday episode of Locked On Patriots. As you can see, the legendary Don himself, the head of the Locked On Patriots familia, is here with me to muse the draft on Mondays like we love to do. I know a lot of people out there mock the draft, including my esteemed colleagues here on the network, but Murph and I don't mock the draft. We do not make fun of it. We do not disrespect it in any way. We show the proper respect, Murph. You know, we have to do that. It's very important. So what we'll do is we'll take a page out of our resident Luca Brazzi of mocking the draft on Monday, our resident Muse the Draft expert, our good friend Andrew Caraway, who is really I really think we need to think about bringing Andrew in as a friend of ours, as opposed to just a friend of mine at this point. Those of you who have seen Donnie Brasco, you know what I just did there. But Andrew is a great friend, a great draft analyst, and
fantastic.
And he kind of nailed this one out of the park, Murph, if I'm being honest. This was a pretty good one. A little bit far-fetched, I think, is probably the word that a lot of people would use to describe this.
A little bit.
At the same time, you have to remember that he's also drafting with people. So, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. He's doing what they're giving him. He's allowing that, basically they're allowing Andrew to make this draft. And, you know, for the life of me, I just can't understand how people would leave this stuff on the table. But, you know, buddy, I digress. I'm not here to judge. At number 21, the Patriots' first pick, Andrew has them keeping that. He does not have them trading out of the slot. Defensive tackle Jordan Davis out of the University of Georgia. Anyone who saw the Combine highlights, or if you didn't see the Combine, I know anybody that looked on social media and just took a look at the comments that were coming out. Jordan Davis could run for president at this point. He'd win in a landslide. I mean, and I'm saying that with every bit of reverence. This kid is a true definition of the term just athlete. I mean, really, for his size, the speed that he showed, the ability that he showed, it made me wonder how people actually scored on that Georgia defense this year. Looking at him in just all of his glory. At number 21, I'll tell you what, if he's there at number 21, Andrew, I will give you all the credit in the world for having this before anybody else, because most of the mocks that we're seeing now are really kind of coming to the realization that Jordan Davis essentially is no longer going to be an option at 21. He is a top 10 pick with the weekend that he had. At number 54, I'm sorry, go ahead, Murph.
No. It was just a beautiful thing. And watching Jordan Davis over the weekend over and over again, because I kept hitting rewind on everything that he did, it's the reason that Combine junkies like myself, like Steve, like you, just can't get enough of this. You know, people call it the underwear Olympics, but watching these guys go through their routines for our pleasure, it's unbelievable. And I can't find a defensive lineman in recent memory that hit it as well as he did this weekend. It was a fantastic thing. If he's there at 22 and Bill doesn't grab him, you folks will hear me screaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll hear everybody screaming after the weekend that he had. If he's still on the board at 21, I can't even imagine Bill not taking a flyer on this kid. There's no, and it's not a flyer, folks. That's really the wrong choice of word.
Yeah.
I think he runs to that draft phone, and you may see the Patriots, make the quickest pick that they've ever made in their team history. Well, at least under the Bill Belichick era. Can't say enough good things about Jordan Davis, and obviously we'll continue to take a look at him throughout the draft process. But if he's not on your radar already, just take a look at the combine highlights. I guarantee you will be mesmerized as Murph and I were. Number 54 is an interesting target here that Andrew put, and this one I think has a chance. And the reason why I think he has a chance is simply because of injury history. Right. But it's a player that we've sung the praises of numerous times here on Locked On Patriots, Bud, and that is John Mechie III at wide receiver from the University of Alabama. You know my feelings on this kid. I love him. I think he's a phenomenal fit for the way the Patriots like to do business here. I think he is a great fit alongside Mac Jones. This one almost makes too much sense. But my question to you, my friend, is number 54 ambitious? Does this have a chance? I think it does, but you're the voice of reason. You're the all-knowing, all-sage.
It does. I think Bill might have to trade up 5 or 10 spots to maybe get him. After what came out, he was at the combine, or we're talking during the combine, that his knee is progressing really well. He expects to be ready by the time camps open, and that could really vault him up. Believe me, folks, if Mechie was not injured in the last game of the season, we would be talking about a top 15 pick for a slot receiver, folks, for a slot guy. That's how talented he is. That's what he can bring to a team. He's a game changer. He's a playmaker. He's the guy that gives me the yak that I crave every single Sunday. I want this pick. I don't care what Bill has to get. If Andrew's first 2 picks happen, I would be happy if nothing else happened in the entire draft for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you. Again, Mechie has the ability to make the cuts. He's the route runner that they like to employ. He's got the hands. He's got the speed. Really, all the tools that I think can really lend himself well into succeeding here in New England. And is he that number 1, take the top off the defense type receiver? No. But I mean, that's not necessarily what the Patriots need in order to be able to succeed. They've succeeded here, and they've done very well with players that don't have that capability. When you're dealing with a player and a quarterback as accurate as Mac Jones, and accuracy and route running and hitting your spot to make sure that you catch it where only the receiver can catch it, and then be able to give you the yak, like you said, those yards after the catch, that to me is the most important thing for a New England Patriots-led offense. And if Mechie is there, he's really, really going to be tough to lay off. So far, Andrew, 2 for 2, bud. I mean, you're kind of nailing this one, bud. You're making our job a lot easier.
He
number 85. I'm sorry.
He and Bourne on the same. Oof. Oh my God! I'm just losing it. I'm just losing it. The digs and the crossers, and who do you chase down? And then Hunter Henry dragging people up the field on a seam. I'm writing plays already. I am
absolutely. Don't forget Jonnu Smith out of the backfield and running some of those jet sweeps. I got a funny feeling you're going to see a lot of that, and you're going to see him be, I think, a little bit more of a red zone target this year now that Mac, I think, is a little more comfortable pressing the issue down in the red zone. And who knows, maybe a change of scenery at the offensive coordinator position, maybe just what Mac needs to get a little more aggressive. I'm not knocking Josh McDaniels. No. I think he did a great job, but sometimes a change of scenery is good for a quarterback, even a young one. Number 85 is the one that really kind of raised the eyes of Murph and I, because if this gentleman is sitting there at 85, you're hitting a home run on this draft. This is 2021 level, folks. Quay Walker, I got to give you credit, Andrew. We bugged you last week for not getting enough Georgia Bulldogs in there.
Right,
and you hit a home run with a couple of them. Walker at this point, obviously he addresses the Patriots' need at linebacker. I don't think there's any question about that. This kid definitely has the ability to fill that role and then some. Reminds me, Murph, and he reminds other analysts too. It's not just me saying this, but I thought right from the get-go when I started watching some of this, reminds me of a young Jamie Collins back in 2013 when he first came out. He's got that ability. And in terms of football IQ, I think that's something he needs to have cultivated. I think that New England can help him a lot with that, especially working under guys like Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo, especially, I think can really do work wonders with this kid. But he's got that type of positional versatility that the
Right.
Patriots really like. He can line up in the box as a linebacker, but he can also line up and get there on the defensive line as well. I like how he can, well, he's even aligned in the slot at sometimes at
Right.
defensive back. So, when you look at what this kid can do, I like Quay Walker, but do you think 85 is a real stretch for this kid?
I do. I
Mm,
think it's a miracle pick.
yeah.
There's no way in hell that he's going to be there. But he reminds me so much of Evan White that it's unreal. He's not going to be there. Excellent pick. I hope he's there. I hope he's somewhere where Bill can, maybe move up a spot or two to get that impact player that he is. Give me all the Bulldogs. I want them all. I want them all.
Yes, we want the Bulldogs, folks.
Yep.
Well, Bulldogs have done traditionally pretty well here in New England, and I know
Yeah.
people are going to start squawking, oh, Sony Michelle,
Oh,
Isaiah
come
Wynn.
on.
Yeah, let me tell you
Yeah.
something. Those two
Sony
guys
Michel
are
has two freaking
two Super Bowl rings.
So you can all shut
Exactly.
up.
Yep. And for what it's worth, I actually wrote a piece last week on Isaiah Wynn and saying, would the Patriots be willing to maybe cut him loose or trade him to try to save some cap space? People, I think, misinterpreted that article that I
Yeah.
was somehow coming at Isaiah or in some way negating what he is. He's a very good left tackle, folks. I am not saying that in the least. What I'm trying to say is that the Patriots may look at their roster and say, we can backfill that position. We're better off having the money to be able to utilize in other positions of need. That wasn't a knock to Isaiah Wynn. Two solid guys that they've gotten out of Georgia in the last few years that have really paid dividends. So great job, Andrew. And Andrew wasn't done. And number
No.
126, an Alabama guy. This had to hurt him a little bit, but he takes Jalen Elmore Davis at the cornerback position at number 126. Obviously, we talked about JC earlier, Murph. Patriots are
Yep.
going to need some help in that regard. Safety out of Miami, Florida, Bubba Bolden at number
Bubba
175.
Bolden. More
This was a
Bolden, more
good.
better.
This
Oh.
exactly. We want to stack. We want Slade Bolden. We want Brandon
Yep,
Bolden.
Slade,
We want
I
Bubba
Brandon,
Bolden.
Bolden.
Yep.
Yep. More
We
Bolden,
want
more
a
better.
bold New England Patriots in this 2022 season. Bold for the gold. I like that.
Yeah,
I think we
that
should
one.
use that. Yeah, bold
Yeah.
for the gold. At number 209, rounding out Luke Fortner, guard out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Murph, best of the rest. What were your thoughts on the remainder of Andrew's draft?
I thought it was fantastic. It really was. He hit on every single pick that he made. But Luke Fortner down there at 209, even that is a fantastic grab. He might be a bit of a project. I'm not sure how he's going to fit into. He's not somebody that's going to come in and contribute right away, but as a starter. But he's somebody that could be a rotational piece. And if you're getting that at 209, more power to you. Jalen Amore Davis is a fantastic cornerback. I really like what he brings to the table, and could be, depending on what happens in free agency and with JC with the trade, he could be a very good rotational piece and not necessarily the red shirt season, that we've come to expect from Bill.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways you're right. And again, you look at guys like Davis and Bolden. This team definitely has some work to do when it comes to beefing up the secondary. And the secondary, folks, is going to continue to be an issue until they get it straightened down and until we know exactly what's going to happen with J.C. Jackson. It could be a tough road here in New England. So ultimately, I think what the Patriots are going to do is continue to go to the drawing board. They're going to continue to look at ways to improve their team. But Andrew, overall, I thought this was a solid draft. Definitely a draft that I would love to see come to fruition. Grading time, Murph. I give Andrew a B plus A minus riser with this. The only reason why I'm not giving him an A plus is because I think some of the picks are a little bit too over aggressive, and I think that there's a little bit of a reality check that needs to be done here. But if the Patriots pull this off and this comes true, this is an A plus draft from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the reaches that you do. I think that this is going to play out in the lower rounds, right around where he has them. I'm going to give it a solid A, another A.
Good.
That's
excellent.
That's two fantastic drafts. Yeah, A plus because Some of these guys just aren't going to be there in the early
Yeah.
rounds. I just can't see it. But
Yeah.
Mechie is definitely somebody to do. Bill might have to move up and down, 5 picks here, 10 picks there. But no, and an excellent draft. I loved it.
Absolutely, folks. And Andrew, thank you for your submission. And we're not done yet here on Locked On Patriots because we do have another Locked On Murph Monday Musing the Draft submission. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. Football is still in full effect, folks. There's no offseason in the NFL. Of course, the football games on the field might be over, but basketball in full steam, both for pro and college hoops. Again, Murph and I have our eyes on our alma maters that are going to be locking it up in the Big East tournament this week and also in the NCAA tournament. PC UConn showdown, I'm just saying, could be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Keep a sharp eye on our Twitter feeds for that one. But bottom line, if you're looking for the greatest from all the latest odds, totals, and player performance props to where the next fired head coach is going to land, not just in the NFL, folks, but all over professional sports, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all of your betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And folks, it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, football hot stove, MLB if they ever get started. All the types of sports content that you need, BetOnline.net has you covered. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Patriots fans, once again, it is hashtag Locked On Murph Monday with the Don himself, the head of the Locked On Patriots familia, the great Thomas Murphy, my good friend. And Murph, we've talked about J.C. Jackson. We've mused a very interesting draft from our good friend Andrew Caraway, but we do have another submission to go through before we wrap everything up for the day here on Locked On Patriots. And this one comes from a friend of ours that was active in the draft submissions last year. Good friend of the program, Brady Lang at IA_788 from the great state of Indiana. And Brady, thank you so much for this submission. Brady's, I think, follows a little bit more, how shall we say, Murph, realism, but interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting type of submission that he has. And he goes in a different direction than a lot of Patriots analysts have gone, but some of these picks do make sense. We'll start with a trade. He makes a trade with the Tennessee Titans to acquire the number 26th pick, the number 90 pick in the 3rd round, and number 167 in round 5. To that, he ships to the Tennessee Titans number 21 and number 209 in the 6th round. So obviously Brady's looking at the draft and saying, well, our guys that we want in the 1st round are gone, so we're going to trade down a little bit. He has the Patriots still in the 1st round, but going cornerback. At number 26, he has him taking Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson. This is an interesting pick. Booth, I think, is an interesting prospect.
Yeah.
Coming from a big-time program. If you're going to trade down and still make a pick in the 1st round, what are your thoughts on Brady's pick here with Andrew Booth Jr. going at the cornerback position?
I think it's a bit of a desperation move. Please don't take this the wrong way, Brady. There are cornerbacks in this draft that I would rather have than him. There are cornerbacks in this draft that you can get later than this. I'm not spending a 1st round draft pick on Booth. He's just, the injury history is just a bit too much for me. I think he's going to be eventually be a very good cornerback in this league. He's fiery, he's competitive, he can win those one-on-one battles, but his technique is not fantastic. He relies a little bit too much on his athleticism, and like I said, he's going to take time to develop, and I'm not sure if the Patriots have that kind of time right now.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of a stretch. I mean, look, there's clear talent
It's
right
early.
there. I mean, Booth,
If he's 25 picks later, then I'm really happy with this. I'm just not doing it in the 1st round. There are impact players that could be had at that pick, even with the trade back, that I just don't think Booth is.
Yeah, and the issue that I do have with Booth at this point, and again, like I said, the pure talent, the raw talent on the field is definitely there. I mean, he's ranked as high as 2nd in a lot of draft boards in terms of depth at the cornerback position, but football IQ is such a big part of succeeding here in New England, and being
Yeah.
able to read the route, being able to, to grow in terms of processing zone coverage is something that is a must for any cornerback that plays in New England. And I think there's still a lot of growth needed on Booth's, resume in order to be able to do that. He'll show up when he's defending the run. He's a smart player when he's defending the run. I think there's good, solid abilities there. But when, it comes to mirroring routes and man coverage, I think a lot of that is still, there are some good moments that he's had on film in terms of doing that. But again, it's, to me, I think there's a little bit of growth there that would need to be done. So while I think that a lot of teams will probably agree with you, Brady, that this kid is ready to go and might be a first round pick, I'm not sure he would top the Patriots draft board in that regard for a first rounder to be able to bring someone like him in. I think they would probably want more of an alpha role, maybe a Kyer Elam out of Florida. He could be someone that I could see maybe taking on that number one role if the Patriots are going to go in that direction. But I still think they prioritize other positions, even with the cornerback position, because again, you know what? Bill's gotten away with it for so many years. He's been able to find these guys under the radar, J.C. Jackson, Malcolm Butler, until it doesn't work anymore. I think he's going to, ride that wave. So who knows? Maybe this is the year that he does something different. But good pick, solid pick, Brady. It's just, we're a little, a little skeptical. Murph and I are running a little skeptical right now. At number 53, the Patriots obviously holding on to this one, their second rounder. Linebacker out of Wisconsin, Leo Chenal comes in to number 53. Again, the Patriots have a clear need at the position. They need to get younger. They need to get quicker. And they need players that can come in and play and contribute right away. Your thoughts on Chenal going as a second-round pick to the Patriots in Brady's draft?
I love this pick. I'm not sure if a lot of other people are going to agree with me, but I do. I like this pick a lot, man. Chanel is an impact player. He's a guy that can come in here and stop. His aggressiveness against the run is almost unmatched. Raw power, great instincts inside, a downhill player. From what I saw during film study of him, he's a bit tight in the hips. He'll need to be in a system that's going to allow him to play free, and I'm not sure if this is that system. He's one of those freelance guys that reads and reacts, and unfortunately, that's not really the recipe here.
Yeah, I would think so. And I mean, obviously Wisconsin, is a big time, program. In terms
Don't
of
get
being
me
able to
wrong.
produce.
He could come in here and fall right into line and be that kind of guy. I just think that from what I've seen of how he's handled his college career, that it might not translate to the system that the Patriots run or the way that they like to run, use their linebackers.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point in terms of bringing guys in that have, a great deal of pedigree. I mean, you look at the 2020 and 2020 season that this kid had. He led the team in both sacks, tackles for loss, total tackles in 2021. So this kid knows how to find the football. There's no question about it. But it's that, ability, to be able to fit into what the Patriots love to do, and especially in their front seven. That could make him a little bit of a dicey pick. But again, I think this kid has got a high character. People that are around him really love the way he responds. He's coachable. You hear that an awful lot. I've heard that a little bit about Leo the last couple of days, especially wrapping up, combine interviews, people that are, giving you side information. So who knows? This could be a decent, pick for the New England Patriots. Again, I'm not sure about, his ability to be there at number 53, but at the same time, if he is there, I think the Patriots might give him a look. So another solid pick there, Brady, and thank you for that. Round 385. This is again the New England Patriots held on to this one, and Murph, we're going to talk some offensive line.
Yeah,
how much better can we get than talking some offensive line? Another Georgia Bulldog. Andrew was once again smiling after the glowing marks that we gave him for the previous draft. Jamari Salyer coming in at the tackle position, and obviously the Patriots have a interest in upgrading the tackle position. Again, we're not sure what the future here is going to be for Trent Brown. Does Michael Wainu come back over and play tackle? We're not sure what the future is for Isaiah Wynn beyond this season. He's under contract with the 5th round tender. Do the Patriots decide to ship him off and see what they can get for him in terms of a trade? Salyer coming in at number 85 to help shore up the offensive line. Too
Yeah.
soon for the Pats to address it, or is this good for them to address it as early as they can?
No, I think it's good to address it as early as they can. Salyer is one of those guys. Like, you remember a few years ago when we were scouting uh Ruiz out of Michigan, and then they went and they they didn't take him. This might be one of those picks. It might be something that I was missing watching film of this kid. But no, I think he can come in and be a good rotational piece if the Patriots can coach him. I would like this pick a lot more if Scarnecchia was still here.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, in terms of when you're looking to cultivate young offensive linemen that have the raw talent, but they're still on the cusp of trying to make something work and becoming that player that a lot of people hope they're going to round into, it definitely helps to have someone like a Dante Scarnecchia. Well, you're not going to find anybody else like Dante Scarnecchia, but maybe a disciple of his, maybe a Carmen Brasillo or a Cole Popovich. I'm just saying. But those guys, being able to cultivate and help him round into form with the news that we're hearing that Matt Patricia may have a heavy hand in this year's offensive line. Is this the time to get raw talent that really is able to make that type of a jump? Who knows? Maybe the Patriots will do it, but you can never have too many offensive linemen. But
he is a versatile guy. He's played tackle. He's played guard. That's something that Bill likes. He likes the way that the Georgia guys come at each and every game, firing off the ball, and he's a run grader. So no, it's not a terrible pick. It's just not somebody that was at the forefront of my mind. But no, good, solid pick.
Absolutely, yeah, solid pick. And speaking of solid picks, the next pick that the Patriots acquired via trade in Brady Lane's draft finally addresses the wide receiver position. And he does that in the third round at number 90 out of Boise State, Khalil Shakir. And Khalil at this point, I think, is an interesting choice for the New England Patriots. I understand why Brady went with this. There's versatility there. There's a pretty good amount of initial quickness. He's got pretty good long speed. Your thoughts on Shakir going here at number 90? Patriots traded for this pick in Brady's draft. Did he adequately fill the bill when it comes to what the Pats need in a wide receiver?
Yeah, I think he did. Once again, I think it was kind of a bit early for him. I've got him outside of my top 20 in wideouts, so I'm really not just outside the top 20. I love guys from Boise, and he's a solid athlete. He's got the yak ability that I really like and really enjoy. He's quick. Okay, I'm not saying he's not fast. He's quick, which I also enjoy. He tracks a deep ball really well, but he's very slight. This dude is a light ball player. He struggles in man coverage, and he's going to see a lot more of that. And quite honestly, not to nitpick, he's not the best blocker in the world, kids. He's not. He doesn't get after it when you need a block. And for all the things that N'Keal Harry gets dogged about, at least he can block. This kid doesn't block.
The lack of blocking ability coupled with the lack of his ability to get separation. And look, I know, bottom line, I think a lot is overblown about receivers' abilities to get separation. I think a lot of that determines on his ability to read the quarterback and the quarterback being able to read him and getting on the same page.
Bravo.
But the lack of toughness, in my opinion, in terms of blocking and the skills that he brings to the table, especially as a young receiver, drafted at number 90, which is I think is probably an average spot of where he's going to go in the actual draft. You're not going to bring those guys in to be the top option in terms of receiving on the field, unless he absolutely comes in and blows the doors off of the offensive coaching staff. This is a guy that's going to come in and try to learn his craft early on, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to make him a blocker in the run game, to make him an effective player, to learn the routes, learn the way this New England Patriots offense is deployed. And Shakir, I think, is going to be a tough fit in that regard. But good. I love the hands on this kid. I love that he's a surefire catcher.
Snatches that ball.
Yeah, I haven't noticed a lot of issues with drops when it comes to
Nope.
him, at least in the footage that I've seen. So, good stuff. I kind of like where
Oh,
Brady went with this. He kind of went a little against the grain, but his picks make sense. And, save for maybe a couple of, ill fits here and there, I think these guys could be solid. Obviously, we'll run through the last before we wrap things up here. Neil Farrell Jr. is the next pick of the New England Patriots at this point in the fourth
yep.
round, number 123 out of LSU. Number 167, he goes with Jeffrey Gunter out of Coastal Carolina. And then wrapping it all up on round 6 and number 198, Marquise Bell, the safety out of Florida A&M. Murph, best of the rest with you. How does Brady's draft round out in your opinion?
It rounds out pretty well. Some of the reaches that he had early in he backs up at the end, and I really, really like Jeffrey Gunter. Am I pronouncing that right?
You are.
Yeah, I think the Coastal Carolina kid, he could come in here and do some damage. He fills a spot that the Patriots really need.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, I think a solid draft. I think, like
Yeah.
we said, Brady, good submission, and I like the ingenuity, and I like the little bit against the grain here.
Yeah.
The way that he was able to put this out, and he put out good players. It's not
He
like
did.
Brady went
No,
out
no, no, no.
completely on a limb,
No.
to say that a guy that we have 7th round grades on
Right.
should be a number one. I
There
think
were
he had
no
everybody.
whiffs. There were
Yeah,
no
he had
whiffs in this.
everybody.
Yep.
He had everybody exactly where they could, progress and project. But I like the fact that he didn't go with the names that you're hearing out there
Right.
a lot when it comes to being connected with the Patriots. Good amount of thought into this one. I thought a solid B to B plus for Brady's submission.
Yeah.
What say you, Don Murph?
Yeah, I'll give him a solid B on this. He filled every hole that the Patriots need, except maybe at running back. I would like to have seen a pass catching running back coming out. But other than that, man, it was a really solid draft, Brady. Please don't take anything that I said personally here. I liked what you did, and keep it up, man. Keep sending them in because this was a good solid draft. There would be, believe me, I've seen the Patriots draft worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope that the actual draft coming up in just a little under 2 months' time is not worse. But
No.
Brady, you definitely did a good job, and we thank you so much for the submissions. Folks, keep them coming in for hashtag Locked On Murph Monday when we muse the draft, as we've done here today. Murph, it always flies by on a Monday whenever we take the microphone together, but I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for your wisdom, your counsel, Don Murph. The content that this man provides, folks, if you're not following him on Twitter at TMurph207 right there on your screen, do it immediately. It is point click enrichment material. You become better football fans, you become better, more well-informed, and you just become a better person by being attached to this man in some way, shape, or form. I owe so much of who I am to who he is in this business, and I could not be happier to offer him the platform here on Monday to be able to join me. But before I let you go, please let our listeners know what they can look forward to from the great pen, the great voice of Don Murph in the coming days and weeks, not just in football, but also in baseball as well, because Murph's got a lot to talk about there, folks.
Yeah, I've got a new article up there, a new column up at e2gsports.com on the lockout and the minuscule freaking progress that they made over the weekend, how they're getting everything that doesn't get them back on the field out of the way. I've got another column coming up on Wednesday. Look for that one, and that's on the future of John Henry here in Boston. Check that one out. I've been working on this one for a week or so. So as long as my my famous editor fixes it up and makes me look good, that should be out on Wednesday or Thursday. And of course, you can check me out tomorrow on Locked On God on on One Patriots Place with Steve and Claire and the OG will be joining us. Yep, Mark Schofield is going to be in, and he's going to talk to us about everything that he saw down at the Combine this week.
Absolutely. And I had the great pleasure of being joined by Mark here a couple of weeks ago, the host emeritus here at Locked On Patriots.
Yep.
That Toto poster that hangs up over my shoulder, it never will come down here in these studios simply because the man just deserves it. And, Mark is truly one of the greats. So check that out, folks.
Yes.
Not just for Mark's wisdom and counsel, but also for the great wisdom and counsel you hear from three of the greatest people in the world to me, Murph, Steve Balistrieri, and the lady of Locked On, Miss Claire Cooper. Until next week, my friend, stay safe, stay well, humbled honored by your presence as always. And folks, once again, I thank you all sincerely for making Locked On Patriots your first listen every day. Until tomorrow, Foxborough faithful, stay safe, stay well, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. And thank you for staying locked in to Locked On Patriots.